The record button. Welcome, Hare Krishna, to Monday. Please excuse us, starting a little bit later than usual. Starting at 6:30, and let's offer some prayers to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishtaya Bhutale Shemati Bhakti Vedanta Swamti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachaline Nivasisha Sunyavari Pashtatarasanine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Okay, looking out at the front door, see if anyone's coming. Anyway, we are continuing reading Sankalpa Kaumudi. I guess Mother Suniti Priya, you have a book. Here comes Mother Chandravali, and Mother Chandravali has a book. And we're on page 541. Mother Chandravali's just joined it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Shall I start from much has already been spoken?
Further up, a devotee should try to increase.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's begin. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. A devotee should try to increase the numbers of round of Harinam that he chants. Srila Prabhupada would use the term numeral strength to connect a potency of japa to the number of rounds of devotee chanted. In other words, as regards nama-sankirtana qualities is refined by quantity. Purity in chanting can be enchanted by increasing the numbers of rounds. Thus, it was not coincident that His Divine Grace requested his followers to chant minimum of 16 rounds daily. That word minimum indicates that as far as possible, a devotee should organize his life in a way what he can increase his dedication to chanting Hare Krishna. To the above four submission, sadhakas may add 3 further practice that are the ingredients of success in nama bhajan. These are keeping good association, refraining for worldly lifestyle, and confidence enthusiasm. Must has already been spoken about indispensable benefits of associating with advanced Vaishnavas and avoiding those posing a spiritual handicap.
Can I just pause here? You just pause here 1 second, because just back to that first paragraph that we read. I happened to come across something in a book by Bhaktivinoda Thakur called Jai Vidama. Let's Modern Mongols just come. And interesting, can I just ask first, have you noticed that we have on our counting beads, there's normally 20 beads, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's normally 20 beads. So normally devotees have the 20 beads ready to, or the 16 beads ready to pour down. Then you have the 4. Now, often when it's asked, why do we count our rounds? One answer which you generally might hear is that, well, just to make sure that we fulfill our vow of chanting 16 rounds. That's why we have counting beads, and that's why we count each round. But it struck me, this is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. This is from a book called the Jai Vidama. The purpose of keeping count is that the devotee comes to know whether the number of rounds uttered is gradually increasing. You understand the difference? So that's why we got 20 beads. chant 16 rounds, then you chant another 16 rounds and up to 64, you can do. Of course, we take vows to chant 16 rounds, but just to see the difference that Bhaktivinoda Thakur emphasized, that the reason we count is so that we can gradually increase that chanting. So that's what those other 4 beads are for. I mean, they're not,
like that.
yeah, they're not just for decoration. And they're not just spare beads in case one of the beads breaks. It's actually meant to increase our rounds. So according to so according, if we can, according to time available, etc., etc. So just for, and also Maharaj mentioned that often it's a question asked, how can we increase the quality of our rounds, or quality and quantity? What's the best? Quality rounds or quantity rounds? Well, Maharaj is explaining here that to get quality, you have to put in quantity. Yeah. To get quality, you have to put in quantity, and that like polishes things up. Yeah. So the more rounds you chant, then the more you'll become better at chanting, and the more the quality will increase. Yeah, it's interesting how I just come across this just yesterday, and the first paragraph mentions that. All right. So welcome, devotees who just joined us. So forgive us for being late. COVID hasn't knocked a few devotees off your schedule, but let's continue. So we've just joined us, page 441, if you have the book there. And we're just, Suniti Priya is just reading. You can read another couple of paragraphs. Then, okay, any other questions on that or comments? If not, okay. You can go ahead, Mother Suniti Priya.
Thank you. Much has already been spoken about the indispensable benefits of associating with advanced Vaishnavas and avoiding those posing a spiritual handicap. To achieve this end of devotee must position himself carefully in both of his social circle and his relationship. The most important feature of association is those advanced devotees who are fully competent to guide sadhaka on his journey. Additionally, sadhu sangha should harmonize with one's own mood of devotional. For example, spontaneously devotee should seek out raganuga bhakta with the same inclination if he is a follower of cowherd boys, and among spontaneously devotees, he should seek out someone with the same mood. Rupa Goswami summarizes his selection process in following way. One should taste the meaning of Śrīmad Bhagavatam in the association of pure devotee. One should associate with the devotees who are more advanced than one itself and who are endowed with a similar type of affection for the Lord. The next practice after good association is to live in a way that is supportive of spiritual progress. While some devotees can schedule themselves in Vraja, most cannot. Most will have to work to maintain their family. That said, since a devotee's activities influence his thoughts process, which in turn comes to the surface of his meditation, a Vaishnavan should arrange his life to be uncomplicated as possible. And while that is not easy in our increasing converted world, the path of Samarana does entail of uncomplicated midset. Thus, one is the qualities of a pure devotee in simplicity, indeed, adhering to the 26 qualities of Vaishnava defines what a favorable lifestyle entails. A devotee will accept material obligation without being attracted to them, and solely means to facilitate his spiritual awakening process in nama bhajan will also insult him from unavailable material.
Again, read the sentence again.
Sorry, say that. Which one?
Progress in nama-bhajan.
Progress.
A progress in nama bhajan will also insult him. Insulate. I beg you, yeah, I'm so sorry. Him from unavoidable material affiliates such as family, family, home, and so on.
Okay, thank you, Mother. Hare Krishna. I just realized probably some devotees don't have the book.
That's why you asked you to read.
Yeah, so
they're listening to what you're reading, so they get the wrong.
Beg your pardon, it's my fault, it's my glasses. Sorry.
No problem. So hopefully, welcome devotees just joined us. Mavula Vangalatika and also Mother Mongol. Welcome, Hare Krishna. So any questions on that, if you heard that? Those who were hearing that. It speaks about keeping good association. These are all means, all things, all that can help us in our chanting. So in other words, there's more than just sitting down to chant 16 rounds or more. If we want to chant good quality rounds, then our lifestyle matters and our association matters. Yeah. So Maharaj is speaking about keeping our lifestyle as simple as possible, although it may be difficult, he said, in his convoluted, very complicated world. But let's try and arrange a life that it's as uncomplicated as possible. So it says it helps create a uncomplicated mindset. Yeah. So perhaps it's good if we don't become a politician. Very complicated. And he mentions about association as well. He mentions that a spontaneous devotee to seek out a raganuga bhaktas with the same inclination. If he is a follower of a cowherd boy, etc., then he should seek out someone with the same mood. Now that might come later in one's spiritual development. Yeah. So that means one will generally we will associate with all types of devotees in the course of our service, in the course of our devotional practice. But then when it comes to more specified hearing and chanting, this is in latter stages of spiritual life, when one is specifically attracted to the mood of the cowherd boys, then you might then associate with those in the same mood. Yeah. So that may hopefully come later, where that becomes, you kind of seek out that same association if available. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or comments on these points? So keeping good association, refraining from worldly lifestyle, and confident enthusiasm. I presume Maharaj is going to speak about that next. Okay.
Thinking like, okay, quantity, like, okay, you chant more rounds so you can get into that rhythm.
Yeah.
But what some devotees would just stay, okay, they just chant, they don't make progress, like chanting. I chant 20 rounds, 40 rounds, whatever quantity, right? So then they would just kind of stay in that mood.
Sorry, I missed the last, the first part, not the last part, the first. Just rephrase, say it again. Sorry.
Let's say I was thinking about quantity.
Quantity, yeah.
Chant more rounds, but then one can get into that mood of, okay, I'm chanting so many rounds, and it's quantity. I need to do it. I need to do it. So then don't change to quality rounds.
Oh, I see. So you're explaining some of us might, or some devotees might just be thinking about the numbers only. If I can chant 32 rounds or 48 rounds, then that's good. But you're saying they might not really try to conscientiously develop the quality of those rounds.
Yes.
Yeah, so we should look out for that. So in other words, when say some of you or some devotees may chant 16 rounds for a number of years, and there's a particular, you could say, a beginner's mindset just to get the 16 rounds done, and then that's perfection of life.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the perfection of life. And then you might, at some point, you might find yourself, your life means you've got space and time to chant, or and you got this is a bit mixed. You may have space and time to chant 32 rounds, and it may not be because you heard about chanting more is good, but you're not specifically attracted, but you're just doing it out of a regulative duty. So there's two types of devotees. They will do it, they will chant more rounds out of a more spontaneous attraction, that they have to. 16 rounds is just not enough. It's so nice that they want to chant more. Yeah, so that's more of a spontaneous attraction to chanting. So that's quality. But then someone else may hear about, oh, I should be chanting more rounds. Okay, let me chant more rounds. But they're doing it out of a sense of vaidhi. You understand? More of a regulative duty. So the quality may not be there. Yeah, I was just reading about this just recently, mixed spontaneous and vaidhi. So if we chant more rounds, we should want to chant more rounds. We should feel an attraction for chanting more rounds. And then it's actually, if we feel an attraction for chanting more rounds, it will be a pleasure to chant more rounds. And it won't be a arduous austerity to try and get 32 rounds done or 40. So we want to prep, so we don't want to artificially, we shouldn't be artificial. It's nice to chant more rounds, and we should do, but we should want to as well. That's the point. Not just doing it out of regulative principle. Although the Guru might instruct one, actually. My Guru Maharaj gave instructions to one of his disciples who's recently retired. He said he should chant minimum 32 rounds, but he should really chant 64 rounds. Yeah, minimum 32 in his retirement, and he's expecting him to chant 64 rounds as often as possible. So given that specific instruction. So so everyone understood the question, or any comments upon that? So yeah, we should want to chant 16 rounds, and if we should want to chant more rounds as well. We should take nice. We should be happy. Actually, just one thing, we should be, for those devotees who got a taste, if devotees have a taste for chanting extra rounds, then they're always conniving and thinking to steal an hour here, still 40 minutes here, I can chant there. They're looking in their schedule in the day to actually chant them extra rounds because they want to do it. That's the fact as well, that if you want to do it, then you'll do it. But if you don't really want to do it, then you'll never have time to do it. You want to have time because you don't really want to do it. But if you really want to do it, you'll find time. Yes, Mother Padma, Nitai.
Prabhu, I was just remembering something Keshav Maharaj mentioned. There's one devotee had come to him and said, do you know, I hope I'm paraphrasing correctly, even the absorption is a service. It's not only chanting is a service. Chanting is the service, our eternal service. At the same time, it's being absorbed in that chanting is also another service.
Yeah, and that's what these chapters are all about. These next 2 or 3 chapters are going to describe that as well.
Yeah, so I was just thinking, it is actually, it is not about the number. Of course, 16 rounds minimum. Yes, we say at least. It's all about your absorption. Even when you're
Yep.
doing, I remember Maharaj Mataji, when she is rolling chapati, she would chant. And there's another devotee also in the States. They always chant in within. So
Yeah.
what? Yeah, I was
So
just
yeah,
thinking.
so to be more absorbed, also you put more time into chanting as well. You spend as much time as you can chanting, and that will give you extra. That will give you give you extra opportunity to become absorbed. But your point is right. Yeah, the important thing is not the numbers, but the important thing is to become absorbed. But we're just we're just making a note that actually that quantity increases quality. That's something to consider as well. That quantity increases quality. I know because there's some devotee, I remember some years ago, he was saying he only chants 5 rounds. He only chants 5 good rounds rather than chant all the rest badly. So he just chants 5 what he says good rounds.
Can I ask something quick?
Yes, please.
I don't know if it's correct, or I don't want to make any offense or so, but is it true at sannyasis they don't have to chant so much?
No, not at all. That is not true. I don't know where you've heard that one from.
I don't want to give a name, but I know someone who used to come to Radha Londonishwara sannyas. It's not, let's say, ISKCON.
Well, that's
and he said that he doesn't. He is now in ISKCON, but he said that he doesn't have to chant more than 4 rounds because he's a sannyas.
Well, just for your information, that's bogus.
When I heard that, I ran away. When I heard that, I ran away.
Yeah, I mean, there are some Gaudiya Mats who chant. Actually, a lot of Gaudiya Mats are lining up with ISKCON as far as their expected sadhana. Some of them, they expect 4 rounds, some 8 rounds, but a lot of them are asking their followers to chant 16 rounds now.
So what they are doing if they are not chanting, and what they are absorbing themselves?
Well, that's the question. Well, some of them, it depends. If they're templites, if they're living in a temple, if they're inmates in a temple, then they will do bhajans, chant Bhaktivinoda Thakur's bhajans. They may do 4 or 5 hours a day.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But we're very clear. Prabhupada, I hope everyone here is listening, is very clear on our instruction from Prabhupada. No need to discuss that. 16 rounds minimum. Okay. Any other questions on this? We can read about what Maharaj is now describing as confident enthusiasm. Okay, you can read, Madhava Chandravali. You have your hand up there. 542.
542 at the bottom, right?
Yeah.
This brings us to the last necessity for successful bhajan, which is confident, intelligent enthusiasm. Srila Prabhupada defines enthusiasm as endeavor executed with intelligence in Krishna consciousness.
Anyone could say where this is from? What book describes about being enthusiastic?
Lecture of instruction, Prabhu?
Yes, correct. 10 points. 10 points. Sunitai Mata, well done. Hare Krishna. That's where it is coming from. Carry on, Mother.
Any confidence means faith in the truth of Bhakti Yoga. Thus, confident, intelligent enthusiasm means faithful endeavor guided by Krishna conscious intelligence. Success in bhajan obviously depends on both faith in the process, faith in the process, and on intelligence to make that process work. But most importantly, a qualified devotee must be convinced that he can attain the goal of bhav. In defining the characteristics of the stages of bhakti, Rupa Goswami says that bhav bhakti is not easily attained for two reasons. Bhakti is difficult to attain in two ways. If undertaken with great effort, but without attachment, bhakti cannot be attained even after a long time. And even if practiced with attachment, Krishna does not give bhakti to the practitioner immediately. We've already discussed the necessity of developing a Shakti. However, here we see that even if a devotee develops taste and attachment, Krishna is still slow in awarding bhav. Why? Because by doing so, he gradually comes under the control of his devotees. This means that a sadhaka may be doing everything right and may have attachment, but ecstasy still does not come. Nonetheless, he must persevere, and he must do so with enthusiasm. Why? Because sooner or later, Krishna will be merciful. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, he does give bhav, but after a delay. We are, after all, talking about acquiring the commodity that brings the Supreme Personality of Godhead under control. That attainment is not like buying a bag of rice. It is most valuable commodity. And so a devotee must be willing to pay the price for it. Krishna delays because he wants to be convinced that the devotee values him with determination and enthusiasm. From the sadhaka side, he must be equally convinced that with the blessings of pure devotees, his effort will in time bear fruits. That is confident, intelligent enthusiasm.
Let's just pause there if there are any questions on that. I was thinking like this verse, which was quoted from Rupa Goswami. Bhakti is difficult to attain in two ways. If undertaken with great effort, but without attachment, bhakti cannot be attained even after a long time. So interesting that if undertaken with a great effort, then you might conclude that the person must be attached, isn't it? Otherwise, why would one make a big effort? But this is a typical a mindset which Rupa Goswami is explaining. Some people might make a great effort, but they're not attached. So what might happen is when the goal might not be achieved, as Maharaj said, as easily as buying a bag of rice, it takes some time, then one will probably give up that great effort. Won't last for very long, but if one is attached, then they will continue. I thought it was an interesting sentence, if undertaken with great effort. So great effort, kind of, you might get an idea that one is attached, but one might be making a great effort, but they might not be particularly attached. So we conclude at some point they will stop. Just a thought.
That's why I just thought disappointment.
Yeah, or one may not have the faith. One may not. Yeah, one may not have faith in the process. Just a thought like that.
Isn't that what we see in the temple as well? You see some devotees, like Sunday feasts, Sunday programs, things like that. Oh, they want to go, they make a lot of austerity to come to the temple, but that's it. I've done my, my service or whatever. But they don't.
Yeah, you could say that. You could say that they make a big effort, but they don't actually become sadhakas. They actually don't actually sign a name on a dotted line and make vows to chant, but they may make a big effort in the devotional practices, for instance, of volunteering. So, but that's good. That may be the stage they are at presently. So we should encourage such persons, and then hopefully they will hear more from devotees And then they will come to a next stage of committing themselves to the practice of sadhana bhakti. Yeah.
They can probably are not attached to the philosophy part, like trying to understand what it all means by doing activities.
Yeah.
But they attached to the
social aspect of it, you could say.
Yeah, okay, like, oh,
Yeah.
I see Hare Krishna to everybody, this, that,
But
like
many
that.
they come because it's in their family and tradition, and they
That's
all
what I'm
come
Yeah.
like they come in Sunday feast. It's like they go sometimes to the market. They meet,
But it's,
but
that's
then
true.
they need to meet someone who can give them bhakti. So if they meet the right person who's gonna give them bhakti, then they're gonna become more attached, and they
Yeah.
will taste.
Yeah, that's also there. So, but what's good is that they come and they do service, and the devotees engage in with service, and they come and they hear from devotees, and they take part in the kirtan. So then they will advance,
Like you did for me, Murli Prabhu. You said give him service. Always when I come to the temple, I remember you were telling, give him a bit of service, and I get a bit of service, and that was it.
Well, I think you was demanding service. All right, yeah. So any other questions or comments here? Otherwise you can read on. So Mother Chandravali.
Okay. Although securing bhav is a painstaking process, the effort itself has its rewards. Strong, faithful devotion increasingly attracts Krishna's mercy, and that mercy fills the sadhaka's heart with the happiness known only to one situated in goodness. The taste of that joy inspires the devotee to redouble his commitment to sadhana and particularly to the holy name. To a sadhaka systematically plows, as a sadhaka systematically plows forward in bhajan, affection for his means of progress, the holy name, simply increases and increases. In that frame of mind, the devotee becomes possessive of his bhajan in the way that a greedy person holds his wealth. The devotee thinks, the name is mine.
Okay, we just pause there.
Yeah.
So I was speaking to one devotee a few days ago, and she mentioned that she couldn't wait to get to our reading session.
Wow.
Couldn't wait. Just didn't want anything to get in the way. The family tried to distract her, but she said, no, it's this time. It's time for my bhajan. Leave me alone. Don't distract me. So that's good. That means there's in the frame of mind, the devotee becomes possessive of his bhajan. So I guess way we can, I think we've been doing this for some time, and I think amongst, our group, then I think we quite look forward to these readings, isn't it?
Yes.
They're nice for me and nice for all of us. So that's in one sense what Maharaj is saying here, a kind of an introductory to what it means to be greedy for your bhajan. In that frame of mind, devotee becomes possessive of his bhajan. So we may have that. I remember I might have said this before. I remember speaking to Vamsiva about this, hearing Kadamba Kana Maharaj was speaking about his japa and how he doesn't like to be disturbed. I think I have mentioned this before, but no harm mentioning it again. And he said this phrase, how it kind of indicates what he expected from his disciples when it came to his japa. It meant, I forget. If you disturb a mama japa, I'll smash your face.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that's right.
If you disturb my japa, I'll smash your face. Obviously, he didn't do it literally, but he was attached. And we should become attached to our japa. We should become attached to our sangha, attached to going to class as much as we can, or attached. Becoming greedy, we should becoming greedy for these things, But specifically, Maharaj is speaking about the name, about chanting the holy name. Yeah. Anything else on that? I thought.
What does it mean? A devotee thinks the name is mine.
Yeah. Yeah, this is in the higher in the higher practices of bhava, shakti, and prema. Then that's the mood of someone in prema, actually, that they become very possessive, just like Radharani. Krishna is hers. I mean, yeah, Krishna is hers. Krishna belongs to me. That's the mood, mata, mood. But here, yeah, the name is mine. It means it's something that you cherish and it's something that you look forward to doing.
Do it.
Yours. It's like it's a just like you have a prized possession. Like you may have a prized piece of jewelry or whatever it may be, and it's yours, and you meditate upon that. It belongs to you. It's for you. So in the same way, the name is mine. This is my round. I'm going to chant. This is my time. You know. So as far as I can understand, this is what it indicates, because this is not speaking about the level of prema. Maharaj is not speaking about prema here.
Prabhu, I just wanted to make a comment which I
Yes.
saw. Sometimes, you know, the little kids, like 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, they will, when you give them a flower, oh, this is mine, that's mine. They just take it to their heart. They just held it, you know, that's very sweet and that's a very sweet and very innocent. So I just remember.
Well, that's the that's also what it means to be conditioned soul. It's mine. Everything is mine. But no, we take the mood there.
That's mood, that very sweet, and you know, it's because they are not really totally. They just wanted to hold it. So that could be an example. Just
You
like
could use that. You could use that, devotees. Why not like that? Does that help with Chandravali? Something else on that? Or who asked that question? Chandravali.
Yeah, I did. I was thinking, for us, isn't it that we say, "Yo Krishna"? Do we? You know what I mean? Like, can you? Like, can you cook for your? No, how do I say it? Like, do we have a mood? Do we try to have a mood that it's not my Krishna, it's your Krishna? Like,
that's a different context.
Context.
That's a different context. That's in the, you know, like for instance, worshiping the deity and the service that's available, you know, and then devotees are coming in to do their service, you know, so we may encourage in that way. So that's a different context.
Okay.
Where you're going to, but it's talking about one's internal bhajan, one's internal disposition towards the holy name.
Right.
And Mark speaks more. Let's read on a bit more about this possessiveness, described as being possessiveness.
Okay. Enthusiasm combined with a sense of possessiveness of the attachment to the holy name
Of and attachment to the holy name.
Where am I now?
A sense of possessiveness of and attachment.
Of and attachment to the holy name gives encouragement for a devotee to project his aspired of devotion on his bhajan. Bhaktivinoda Thakur calls this practice helpful imposition. This imposition is a reference to Rupa Goswami's recommendation of following residents of Raj. By identifying with a mellow of devotion, a devotee expresses a primary desire, which only later
expresses a preliminary desire. Yeah.
Desires which only expresses a preliminary desire, which only later at bhav becomes a real identity. Because that aspiration gives a practitioner a sense of spiritual identity and direction, it contributes to enthusiastic bhajan. This mood is natural for the raganuga sadhaka and less so for the vaidhi sadhaka. That said, the later will have an increased inclination for it after attaining the stage of Ashakti. Readers will bear in mind that a sadhaka must be systematic in advancing towards bhavapana das, and so he must pass through the stages of Ashakti attachment.
Without attachment.
Without attachment, there is no question of love. And attachment is not just about fondness for Krishna, but a certain kind of fondness. In that fondness, similar to the love of Rajvasis, the Dwarkavasis, or the Vaikuntavasis, the mood of attachment may be natural, regulated, or a combination of the two. Whichever one it is an individual affinity that is cultivated through sadhana and then manifest through a corresponding mood of love of bhav.
Okay, so perhaps we better pause there. Any questions on that?
So have we gone from Smarana Das to Bhava Das?
Well, when Marge is speaking about Bhava Panadas, he's speaking about the attainment of Bhava.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that is. So he's explaining what is the systematic progression, and the progression is towards Bhava Pana, which is Bhava, basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I just wanted to go back because sometimes Marge, this is quite condensed because Marge, because he studies quite deeply, as you can imagine, and he references many books. So what he writes is often very quite condensed, you know. So there's quite a lot in here in that last paragraph. So for instance, he was speaking about, and we was giving examples of this mood of it is mine being possessive. Yeah. And then that is a favorable mood, which with that mood, it's like you use that in your chanting. You can take that mood and it infuses your chanting. Then he mentions that that's the mood that Rupa Goswami describes for advancing, is that one is reference to Rupa Goswami's recommendation of following a resident of Raj. So another higher stage is not necessarily the stage of Bhava, but at the stage of raganuga sadhana, a devotee may express will be quite infused about a particular servant of the Lord, either Gopi, Manjari, or Gopa, like that. Now, that may not be it's not a realized identity that comes later, but they use that sense of being enthusiastic about that particular mood of worship, and that will it mentions later at Bhava, that which only at Bhava then the mood becomes more manifest. Yeah, so it contributes to enthusiastic bhajan. The mood is natural for the raganuga sadhaka, but less for the vaidhi sadhaka. Anyone, the devotees understand that? You grasp that? No.
Yeah, because raganuga sadhaka.
So,
Confusion.com.
Yeah, it's confusion.com. There's a verse in the Nectar of Devotion, which is in the purple, is quoted from the Nectar on the Nectar of Instruction, and quote is the Nectar of Devotion, that a devotee should identify himself as a follower of the residents of Raja. This can be done at the stage of sadhana or the stage of perfection, and the stage of sadhana, of raganuga sadhan, where you're feeling infused about a particular, you just you feel you're just infused about the gopis or the cowboys, and then that mood, and then you just chant in that mood. You don't imitate pastimes, and you don't imagine yourself in a particular role, but you're just infused about that, and you chant.
Can I say or
Yeah.
ask? Say when one's performing vaidhi bhakti.
Yeah.
But even in vaidhi bhakti, now and then you could be doing something spontaneous, like you said earlier, when we're chanting. Then you get to sometimes you get to a point when you think, oh no, I need to chant, better or more or whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of you finish when you automatically start doing more. So you fluctuating.
Yeah.
While bhakti, you kind of in between. At times you are going to spontaneous services, and mostly you are in.
So that's.
Am I confusing everybody?
No, that's, well, I hope not. I think you're clarifying things. So at one end you got vaidhi, at the other end you got raganuga, and then you got a whole spectrum in between.
That's it.
Not just one or the other. So for instance, someone who is say they're practicing, and there's a natural enthusiasm for reading the pastimes of Krishna. And it comes from the heart. It's just natural. No one has to tell them. Yeah. So they read the pastimes of Krishna or the pastimes of the gopis, etc. So, but then you got someone else who they may, for instance, they may read a book that says, in order to develop raganuga bhakti and following the mood of the residents of Vrindavan, you should hear about them. So they think, oh, it says in a book, I should hear about the residents of Vrindavan. So approaching it is vaidhi. It's not natural. It's not coming from your heart. You're just, all right, okay, I better read about Vrindavan to become attracted to Vrindavan. That means it's mixed. That means you're doing it based on vaidhi, but you're doing something which is a spontaneous sadhan. But the impetus is vaidhi. But it so happens that even if the impetus is vaidhi, if you do it, it will become more natural for you. Okay, so it's vaidhi. So I need to hear about Krishna's pastimes more. My Guru Maharaj said that, and it keeps on, in this book we're reading every Monday. It's a very complicated book, but it tells me about hearing about Krishna. So perhaps I should do that. And then if you do that, then you will become, and then you will naturally develop a taste. You understand? So there is, so in our own practice, and I've had the experience sometimes where you do something spontaneous and it's really nectar. And it's really nectar. Sometimes I remember reading some prayers before I started chanting japa. Oh, it's such nectar. So I thought I would now do that every day, my japa. But then the nectar didn't continue. It became it became part of my vaidhi to chant the prayers. And sometimes I wouldn't feel like chanting the prayers. So in other words, the nectar wasn't there all the time. It was just there in the beginning. So you may experience that in their service. Yes, Madhu Mongol.
Sorry. Is that because we are beings of habit? And we get used to it very much. Like we become very familiar with things, and then we don't put price anymore. Appreciate, not price.
Well, basically, it's because we're not at the level of bhava or shakti, So that's why sometimes we will get a bit quiet. Our hearts will be touched by certain things we do, by certain, and sometimes it won't be. So I would say it's more because of that, because one may not be situated at the stage of ruchi or shakti or bhava. But just that main point Chandravali is making is that there is a big spectrum. you know, a big spectrum. Got vaidhi and raganuga, you know. So that and what Krishna likes is the one that comes from the heart, and that's raganuga, and that's what you can worship, and that's how to serve Radha and Krishna. It's not okay, you know. In other words, the gopis, yeah, in other words, like trying to say is that we may offer arti to Krishna, like I was offering the PM arti today. But why am I offering arti to Krishna? Because there's no one else to do it. It's Heidi. And, you know, vaidhi, I have to do it. It's my duty. All right, I have to do PM. I was thinking, gosh, surely someone else can't do the PM. So I'm doing PM program. That's called vaidhi bhakti. You know, you're doing it. But if you do it, then you get a taste from worshiping Krishna. You know, so mixed. So we're doing a lot. So for us, a lot of it's mixed. But actually, as we go on, then the less it will become, the less mixed it will become. The less vaidhi will be there, and the more this natural taste will be there. Anybody else has any comments on this? Like, we're going on a bit here amongst ourselves. As if you...
Prabhu, I just wanted to ask something.
Yes.
Is that okay? Because you were talking about the for PMRT, is something related to that. Prabhu, if a devotee says, I want to offer this to Krishna, I know Jagannath likes this, but that fruit is not enough for the 4 bowls. So, okay, I just wanted to know this. And then the devotee say, no, I will offer, and the same big bowls, and the fruit is only up to the quarter of the bowl. So when it comes to this, and they say, no, Krishna says, offer it with love, he will accept it. Oh, Krishna, okay. I said, okay, at least then change the bowl, at least to a small bowl.
See,
yeah, like this. So
yeah.
How to compose it?
See, what you're bringing up here is the dynamic of devotional practice, say within, let's just say in a Bhajana department or within a temple. Now you've got like 10 devotees or 15 devotees, and some of them are moving on vaidhi, some of them are moving on more spontaneous attraction or more spontaneous service. So they want to do this, they want to do that, they want to do this, they want to do that, because they naturally feel they want to offer this and offer that.
Yeah.
Then you got others on vaidhi saying, no, you can't do that.
No, it is okay. At least, and so because normally I remember probably a long time ago when I was doing fruit offering, you said, fill up full. Krish, you had to fill the bowl nicely full. Yeah.
Anyway,
so
you just highlight.
Yeah. So I just wanted to understand: is it better to change the bowl at least to the small to become full? Is that way?
You should do whatever needs to be done, you know, and often that's like the head bhajari or someone's playing the authority, and then they just generally the head bhajari is going to be concentrating on the vaidhi aspect, which has to be done, you know, and try and make sure everything is done. And then also you have to allow for devotees being a bit more spontaneous, but that should also kept within a certain realm or paradigm that it also doesn't interrupt with the ongoing service. Anyway, but just highlighting that point, how we just made the point of vaidhi bhakti, raganuga bhakti, and the scope in between, and you've got 20 devotees are all in different places in this, and all. So sometimes you're going to get, like the other day, one devotee was addressing Radha Krishna, and one devotee, Tulsi, was there. You know, one of our Tulsis is leaning over. So like one devotee put the Tulsi in such a way that was leaning in front of Radharani. So the idea that this devotee did this because Tulsi is embracing Radharani. And then when the curtains opened, another devotee came to the altar and said, oh, no, Tulsi's in front of Radharani. You have to turn her the other way around. So you're understanding one devotee is more doing on the raga than another devotee is doing on vaidhi. But actually, going on a bit here, actually, Pujari's service, our presentation should be really vaidhi, really. But anyway, that's an example how you got two moods which are crossing over. One devotee, let Tulsi be in front of Radharani, going over it. And then but another devotee, quite, just no, hey, Tulsi's facing the wrong way. She's covering Radharani. You see these two moods? And that's why often some devotees can't understand each other. Because once they're in more. Sorry?
That's going to happen, isn't it? As one is making progress, like from Vaidhi to Raganuga.
Yeah.
It's going to keep coming up in your sadhana,
Yeah. Yeah. So often devotees at Vaidhi cannot understand devotees at Raganuga. They can't relate to what they're doing or things like that sometimes. So devotees at Vaidhi have to give space and give preference. And not space, not preference, but they have to acknowledge their, Marge mentioned this, their Raganuga associates who are more spontaneous. And to whatever degree we can, then we should be able to facilitate. But that's called management, you see. And Marge speaks about this, that ISKCON having a place for devotees who are more spontaneous practice. But the devotees who are more spontaneous, then generally they're going to keep that within. That's the idea as well. It's not going to be but sometimes it's going to come out in different ways that they like to do things.
Yeah, they like to do things.
Yeah, so one devotee spontaneously wants to do this and it's not in accord to the normal rules and regulations. So then that's when decisions have to be made. You can do this, you can't do that. So that's called you could say the whole social aspect of a temple where Radha Krishna are in the center.
The spontaneous can come at any stage, you mean? Even a devotee who just joined, or because they must be bringing from the past lives.
Yeah, now spontaneous in the full definition of the term as being inspired by Krishna, being inspired by Krishna's pastimes, that generally it's going to come after Nishta, but it's not, it can come before that, as you said, by practice in a previous life or by great fortune or by great blessings. So, but generally Prabhupada speaks of it as coming after this, definitely after the stage of Nishta, but it can come before that. Someone could be naturally attracted to hearing about Krishna from the very early stages of their spiritual practice. And they will have to hear about Krishna to like be inspired. And that can come before they may even take initiation. But generally it's going to definitely, and it's going to happen Nishta and beyond. But
it's difficult to understand, also to move. Okay.
It's
Especially,
yeah, go on.
It's like, when you're going from one stage to another, say from Ruchi or whatever, one stage to another stage. You don't just overnight just jump from one stage to another.
No.
There's going to be in between period when you're going forward, going back again, going forward, till you come to that other point.
Yeah. And I think this comes up later, and as one goes more towards Raganuga, there's some things they will stop doing that they used to do before. And there's other things they will start doing. There's things which will be favorable for their development and things which will no longer be favorable as well. That's spoken of as well. It's a fascinating subject.
It can be like, I'm just thinking to myself, like say, if you're doing services, your mood service, then you get to a point where you think, okay, I need to understand what I'm doing. So then you step back and get engrossed in your own sadhana reading.
Yeah.
So then you can put that into philosophy, into your practice.
Yeah, and that's the first stage that Marge mentioned. We're speaking about the Shravandas, or the
Yeah.
first stage of acceptance. Do you remember we was just had that first stage of accepting, and then you start to delve deeper into the philosophy, and you want to understand more. You actually accept the process, and that might not happen in the first few years for some.
Mm.
Anyways, all right. I've
Okay.
already gone over your time. I started late and it's already gone 7:30. So let's perhaps stop there. And thank you, everyone. Very interesting discussion. I hope those who few devotees are here, I hope you found the discussion interesting. Hare Krishna. So look forward to, please join us for Bhagavad Gita tomorrow, and tomorrow on Tuesday and Wednesday. And Hare Krishna. Wish everyone a may you dream of Krishna.
Gratefully, Prabhu ki.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.